The next speaker is Mr. Erkin Qədirli. Mr. Qədirli, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, let me express my personal gratitude to the rapporteur. This is a very good report. We discussed it at the legal committee, but before continuing what I have in mind to say about this report, let me briefly comment on what our distinguished colleague from Armenia just said. I'm personally very glad that Armenia and Azerbaijan take their disputes to international courts now. Had we have done that 30 years before, we could probably have avoided the war. But in as much as I'm glad that Armenia and Azerbaijan now take their disputes to the court, I have a doubt that Armenia tries to politicize international judicial authorities. Let me remind you that Azerbaijan had to wage a war with a view to exercising its inalienable right to self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter. And no international court is competent and can even theoretically be entitled to overrule the results of the war. So courts can only consider disputes. Courts cannot solve the conflicts. Conflicts can only be solved by negotiations, and we have been expecting from Armenia to finally sit at the table of negotiations and sign the Treaty of Peace. Now, back to the report. I have not much time, so I will just skip some part of what I have had in mind. This report addresses very serious issues. And of course, we have several layers of problems. We have different jurisdictions, some of which may, in principle, concur or even overlap or even conflict. We have European Union, we have Council of Europe. Not all members of the Council of Europe are members of the European Union. With that regard, non-EU members of the Council of Europe may have additional questions with regard to possible admission of the European Union to the European Convention of Human Rights. But also the integrity of the European Court of Human Rights is very important. But unfortunately, the European Court of Human Rights gradually drifting away from the classical liberal concepts of human rights and freedoms. Too much of leftist ideas seemingly influence the interpretation of European Court of Human Rights, especially, for example, the attempts to extend the scope of the right to life so that it could include environmental components may potentially increase the gap among the member states with regard to their capabilities to implement those obligations. And the European Court of Human Rights, unlike the European Court of Justice, should, in my view, refrain from expanding its subject matter jurisdiction towards programmatic rights. My time is out. I thank you, Madam Chair, and I thank Mr. Rapporteur again.
Thank you.